All right. Hey, YouTube, I'm Lucky, and Bungie is going to be nerfing Stasis very soon, and the nerfs are so strong, you might even call it a nuke. So let's go ahead and cover this week's TWAB. Starting from the top, 527, we talk about the Vault of Glass, the world's first team. Very impressive performance from them. They won both the first race and the challenge mode race, so a huge congrats to them, Clan Elysium. Those guys are all beasts at the game. And they did a bunch of interviews and talked with them, and they had a bunch of really interesting things to say. But I'm going to skip a little bit past that because I want to jump right into the Stasis, okay? We have Sandbox lead Kevin Yanes, who talks about the Stasis, the nerfs and the adjustments that are going to be brought soon to the game. The main focus is that they want gunplay to be the focal point of the game, which I could not agree with more, okay? Gunplay definitely needs to be the focal point of Destiny 2 PvP. That we don't need an ability-based playlists and gameplay throughout the game. We don't want people throwing grenades and using supers more than they're using their guns, okay? You can use your super and throw a ton of grenades in Mayhem. Save it for Mayhem in normal PvP like Trials and, you know, whatever 6v6 modes you're playing. It should be primarily gunplay. And they address that, and it's really, really cool what they say. The main focal point they get at is that they're going to make Stasis in line with the light-based subclasses, the Solar, the Arc, and the Void. And even if they don't get it right this time right now, which it seems like they're going to get pretty close with this big nerf coming in, they're going to continue to push until the numbers actually match the usage rates of Stasis to the light-based subclasses. And they're actually monitoring the exact number of wins that each subclass gets using said, using said subclass, whether it be Stasis, Solar, whatever it may be. They're monitoring it down to the exact detail. It's pretty crazy, and I'm super happy to see that they're paying attention to this. And I'm very, very strongly believe that Stasis is going to be thoroughly nerfed after this recent patch that's about to come out. And if it isn't, then it's going to be gone within very few months right now. So at least by next season. They said that by season 15 they have some big changes coming as well. So keep that in mind, that Stasis will be in line with the other classes, which is a big breath of relief for a lot of us out there who play PvP regularly. So let's go ahead and jump into these details. Stasis freeze. Reduce the duration of all non-super freezes versus players to 1.35 seconds. This freeze is too short to break out of, so breaking out is now only possible when frozen by a super. Reduced special weapon, heavy weapon, and light ability bonus damage to frozen players from 50% to 5%. Not sure why they did that. When people get frozen, you can kill them a lot faster with special ammo weapons, but now that's going to be not a thing anymore. That doesn't even feel like a nerf, really. The problem that I have right now is that when I shoot someone that's frozen with a primary, they're able to break free and run away because it has reduced primary ammo damage to being frozen. So I'm not entirely agreeing with this one right here, but we'll move on to the next one. Stasis slow no longer reduces weapon accuracy. That's awesome. When you get hit by a shuriken or you get slowed by anything, you get reduced weapon accuracy. I'm super happy to see that changed. Now increases weapon flinch when under fire. That's going to feel wild. So you're going to get hit by a shuriken, you're going to get slowed, and you're going to be able to accurately shoot the person to fight back, but you're going to have increased flinch. That's going to feel pretty crazy, especially if you're on a sniper. You're going to be flinching. Your scope is going to be up in the ceilings, but we'll see. No longer suppresses class ability and air moves like Icarus Dash. Okay, so if you get slowed, you can still do your Hunter Dodge now, and you can still do Icarus Dash as Dawnblade. That's actually really cool. I'm really excited for that. That's a big buff, especially to Hunter. Being able to dodge out of being slowed now. Known issue, the Stormcaller's Ionic Blink is still suppressed when slowed. We plan to address this in the future, so Stormcaller not going to be able to Ionic Blink in their super, no big deal. Reduced, that'll get fixed soon. Reduced movement speed penalty when slowed by 20%. Interesting. So you'll be able to move a little bit more when you are slowed. That probably will feel not as bad. I'm very interested in seeing how these changes feel. You know, reading it on paper is one thing, and actually experiencing it is another. So far it seems so good though. Whisper of Hedrons no longer increases weapon damage after freezing. So you freeze someone and you can 2-tap them with a 120 is a very common thing. You can body shot them with a high impact sniper. No longer will be able to do that. That's a big change and a great change. Now increases weapon stability, aim assist, mobility, resilience, and recovery after freezing. Interesting. So it gives you a huge buff to all the other abilities, but just not weapon damage. Seems like an okay trade-off there. Whisper of Rhyme Fragment no longer provides overshield and super. Okay. Cold Snap Grenade. Seeker no longer tracks targets after initial target acquisition. Awesome. I like that. I like that quite a bit. Increased aiming duration before Seeker spawns from 0.3 to 0.8. So you throw it and it hits the ground and it takes 0.3 seconds before it starts tracking you. Now it'll take 0.8 seconds. So you'll have a little bit more time to react to a cold snap being thrown at you. You'll be able to hear it hit the ground and be like, okay, now it's time to dodge or get the frick out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's good. I like that. Reduced detonation radius versus players from 3 meters to 1.5 meters. That is awesome because you would just throw this thing down a hallway. If you saw red on the radar, you throw the cold snap down a hallway and it would for sure track and freeze people. Now you'll have to actually be kind of accurate with it, and people will have the ability to react better. So this is a great nerfs to the cold snap grenade. Now balances off walls and detonates on the ground. Okay, so before it would hit the wall, it would start tracking from the wall and go to the ground or wherever. And now it'll hit the wall, fall off the wall, hit the ground. So if people are up high on things, it'll be almost impossible to freeze them with cold snap. Very interesting. Very good changes. Titan Behemoth. Ooh, here we go. Behemoth is so strong. So strong. Looking at recent gameplay data, the Behemoth generally has the highest win rate of any subclass in most 6v6 game modes. Sheesh. And is also among the strongest in 3v3 modes. In Trials of Osiris matches, for example, only Top Tree Dawnblade has a higher win rate. Wow. We've taken these strengths into account when balancing the Behemoth's abilities. Between Shiver Strike and Cryoclasm, the Behemoth has incredibly high mobility, making targeting the Behemoth frustrating for controller players in particular. We've taken the steps to make the Behemoth more targetable while moving, which should hopefully alleviate some of this frustration. Wow. So essentially, they're going to increase target acquisition for controller players trying to shoot Behemoths. Interesting. Very interesting. We'll see how that plays out. Shiver Strike, reduced flight speed and distance. So that's your melee. You can yeet across the map with that melee, and now you will not have as much flight speed or distance you'll be able to cover with that melee. That's definitely fair. Reduce the knockback versus players. Also seems fair. Reduce slow detonation on player impact. Definitely fair. That melee is super strong. Cryoclasm now requires the Titan to sprint for 1.25 before activation when not in super and remove the cooldown. Awesome. Happy to hear that. Howl of the Storm, removed angle of initial freezing / damage cone, reduced crystal creation freezing radius, slowed down sequence of crystal formation to allow victims more opportunity to escape. Awesome. Now spawns a small crystal on walls if performed into walls. All right. Glacial Quake, reduced heavy slam vertical freeze versus players, reduced damage resistance from 50% to 47%. So that damage reduction there will probably make it so that a 90 RPM sniper might be able to headshot it. We'll see. We'll have to test it out afterwards. Very interesting. Titan Stasis getting the big nerf. All right, Hunter Revenant. Ooh, here we go. I can only imagine. The Revenant's Crucible win rate, kills per minute, and average efficiency is generally within the top 6 of all subclass trees, but its usage rate is incredibly high. In Trials of Osiris matches, it has the 5th highest win rate of any subclass tree, but is used by a whopping 36% of Trials players. That's insane. Think about this. You've got all the Stasis classes. You've got all the Stasis. Well, you got Stasis on all 3 characters. Then you have the top tree, middle tree, and bottom tree of all the Solar, Void, and Arc classes. And out of all of those combined, the 36% of the Trials players are Revenant Hunters. Wow. This high usage means that players fall victim to its abilities more often, multiplying the frustration of being slowed by Withering Blade and Winter's Shroud. We hope that the changes we've made to being slowed, paired with the adjustments to the Revenant's abilities, make this experience better. Withering Blade, reduce slow duration from players from 2.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Good. Reduce Whisper of Durance, slow duration extension versus players from 2 seconds to 0.5 seconds. Wow, that's a huge reduction. Reduce damage versus players from 65 to 45. After one bounce, reduced even further to 30. Wow, so after a bounce, that shuriken will only do 30 damage to someone. That's crazy. And if you throw it directly at someone, it'll do 45 damage. Wow. Reduce projectile speed by 10%. Reduce tracking after bouncing off a wall. Very good changes. The shurikens are just so strong. In my opinion, I was running, because Stasis in Trials is so insane, I was running 100 strength these past few weekends in Trials on my Revenant whenever I ran Revenant. And those shurikens are just so nasty. And I'm happy to see that that gets adjusted because those were just ridiculously strong. Winter Shroud, reduce slow duration versus players from 2.5 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Reduce Whisper of Durance, slow duration extension versus players from 2 seconds to 0.5 seconds. Touch of Winter. Cold Snap Seeker no longer has increased movement speed or travel distance. Cold Snap Seeker now spawns a small stasis crystal on detonation. Very interesting. Warlock Shadebinder. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Warlock Shadebinder. It's really good, and it definitely is like broken compared to the other Warlock classes. But out of all the stasis, I can't help but feel like it's not the strongest. You know what I'm saying? Behemoth is easily number 1, and Hunter is number 2, and then here's Warlock Shadebinder number 3 in my opinion. Let's see what they say. The Shadebinder's Crucible performance is generally within the top 10 of all subclass trees. In Trials of Osiris matches, it had the 9th highest win rate of all subclass trees. By the way, I'm pulling all this data from the weekend of May 14th, 21, but it generally doesn't deviate much between weekends. VOG launch weekend shook up things quite a bit. Yeah, not a lot of people played that weekend. There's about 100,000 people played that weekend. While the Shadebinder may not be the most powerful in competitive play, being frozen by its abilities takes a large emotional toll on the victim. We've adjusted Penumbral Blast to require more accuracy versus players in order to turn this ability into a more skillful shot given its powerful effects. Penumbral Blast, reduce tracking and proximity detonation size versus tracking versus players, reduce freeze radius and versus players when impacting the environment from 2.7 meters to 1.5 meters. Isolar Bolt Seeker now only chains once when spawned from a player shatter. Winter's Wrath, freezing projectile tracking strength now ramps down to 0 after 2 seconds of flight. Interesting. We hope these changes have a positive impact on your Crucible experience. While the gameplay team is very busy working on future releases, Crucible and PvP community are incredibly important to us, and we'll continue to monitor gameplay and community feedback regarding Stasis and subclass abilities. In general, we'll continue to update Stasis until its win rates and usage rates are in line with the light subclasses. Expect more updates in the future. I'm super happy to hear that. Until it's in line, it's going to keep getting nerfed. So if people keep using a ton of Stasis, if it's still stronger than the light-based subclasses, it's going to keep getting nerfed. I'm happy to hear that. All right. Expunge, they talk about their new mission that they came out and how that mission is going. We've got Mike Profeta. Can skip over a variety of that. Starting on June 15th, the new Pinnacle Activity Challenge will roll out connected to Expunge missions, providing an additional Pinnacle reward source each week for the remainder of the season. This coincides with an additional layer of replayability being introduced to Expunge missions, along with unveiling the final 3 Splicer Gauntlet upgrades, which will provide additional rewards and source of high stat / double perk seasonal gear from Expunge each week as long as the activity is available to players. Very, very interesting stuff there. I'm excited to see what we get when that Splicer Gauntlet is fully upgraded. Along with that now, they just have a bunch of different hotfix notes and bugs that they're working on stomping out. A ton of things in the game to work on. Of course, lots and lots of bugs out there. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Stasis nerfs? That is definitely the big focal point of this week's TWAB. And I couldn't be any more excited. I am getting really tired of getting frozen inside PvP and very, very happy to see things getting changed big time. So my overall impressions of this would be a 9 out of 10 because this looks like they're really hammering away at it. And at the very least, even if it's still strong after this, they said they're going to continue to push until the data is aligned with the light-based classes. So we know that we're heading in the right direction, at least if you're frustrated playing PvP against Stasis all the time. So that's a wrap for this video, though. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.